Thanks for having us here. And the reason why Emily and I are doing this is because of what happened to myself and my son-in-law about 7 years ago. It was all medical reasons. And my son-in-law was diagnosed with MS at 26 with 2 kids. The medication they were giving him and the shots they were giving him was causing more issues. Actually, it was making him bedridden. So her and I have been in the health industry for all of our lives. So we were trying to find a natural way to help him. And also I had some medical issues myself because of my past profession. And besides that, during this process of trying this water, I didn't know I had cancer myself. And here I've been in the health profession for over 35 years, and we're not supposed to get cancer. We're supposed to be healthy. Well, cancer does. No one's immune to it, no matter what. It's all about lifestyle. So that's basically what happened. And so she did a lot of investigation on how we can treat us and get us in a healthier alternatively, and came across this water and brought the water home. And of course, when she brought it home, I asked her, "What is this?" And she says, "It's therapeutic water. It came from Japan." And I said, "Well, what's it supposed to do?" And she said, "Well, it's supposed to help with medical issues. That's what Japan uses in the hospital, but they've been using it for 50 years." And I said, "Well, this is my water. This is my water here, Aquafina. This is what I was giving my clients." I go, "Water's water." They never. I mean, in school they didn't teach us there was different waters. I had no idea. Like you were saying, the water in New Mexico is coming out of the ground, and most likely that's clean water. And people aren't used to clean water because there's 7 countries left in this world that have therapeutic water. The United States isn't one of them. The water's been around since the beginning of time. We've ruined it over time. Well, anyway, she brings it home, says we're going to drink it. I say, "No, I'm not. Water's water." I was never educated about water. I didn't know it. But she said, "You're going to drink it anyway." And so I did. And what happened in the next few days, I was a Diet Coke. I drank a lot of Diet Cokes every day. I couldn't drink the water and Diet Coke. If I was going to try it right, I had to stop drinking all my Diet Coke because I saw what happens to it. What happens to Diet Coke and water, how you mix it, what will happen to it. So I did. And things happened that I couldn't explain. And I didn't want to think it was the water that was doing it. And so I let it go a little bit longer, and come to find out that I was getting better, and he was getting better, my son-in-law. And because I have a science background, I had to investigate it. I had to check it out myself. And so I did. And I've been post-cancer now for six years. And so the water is not everything, but the water is the base of everything. Because we can't live without water, period. And everybody knows, everybody's been watching the news, we all know these bottled waters are contaminated. We know that. Our body is 80% or 75% water, our brain is 80% water. It makes sense that the water we should be drinking should be healthy water, but the water most of the public's drinking is not, and that's why this country is so sick. We work with a lot of type 2 diabetics, a lot of them. We work with a lot of people that are borderline diabetic. We work with a lot of people that have got acid reflux and gout. Just all kinds of different diseases. We've been doing this now for seven years. And so when people reach out to us because they don't want to go the Western treatment of whatever disease they have, this is the first thing I have to do is I have to change their water. Otherwise, I'm not detox. I got to detox their whole body. That water in New Mexico, that's exactly what it's doing to people. It's detoxing them. It's cleaning them out. And then you leave and come back here, and then we get all poisoned again. So it didn't make sense. But what makes this water so different, and why people are feeling the healing effects from it, is because it's got 3 properties to it. And if the water you're drinking doesn't have all three of these properties, it's not therapeutic water. The Japanese have been using this water for 50 years in their hospitals. This water was actually been around since the beginning of time, but the Russians in the 1600s figured out how to make it to be able to drink it without getting it out of the ground. The Japanese figured out how to put it in a box like the one in there and put it into homes. So that's why it's only been here in the United States since 2007. That's it. Like I said, 1 out of 6 families in Japan drinks that water. And now it's finally came over to here. But the difference is what I've learned is that this water has 3 properties to it, that if one of these properties are missing, the water is no longer therapeutic. It will not help to reverse type 2 diabetes. It won't help to fight cancer. It won't help to do any of those things. It's got to have all 3. The first one, it's got to be an antioxidant. It has to have antioxidants. The second one, it has to have high alkalinity. To be healthy, your body needs to be in a slight alkaline environment. For myself and for Erica, we're both, because we had cancer, we were both acidic. Our body was 100% acidic. We had to reverse that and bring our bodies back to an alkalinity at the cellular level in order to fight the cancer. Cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment, period. No diseases can. So we had to get our bodies back into an alkaline environment. And the fastest and easiest way to do that is to drink water that has a strong antioxidant in it and is an alkalinity. It also has to have structure. And what that means is the water has to be structured in a way to be able to enter the cells, because there's little water channels in those cells. So if the water isn't structured right, it's too big and bulky, it's not going to go into it. Now, how does the structure come about? Electricity. So the water has to go through an electrolysis device just like nature. The earth is electric. So when the water's in the ground, like the New Mexico water, I bet you if I took my meter here, my electric meter here, and tested that water coming out of the ground, it might have a charge to it. Because what happens is the water it goes through the ground, in the ground, up and down the rocks. The earth is got electricity to it. That's what changed the structure of the water molecules to make it healthy. It goes through electricity. We have a box, what they call is called a lightning in a box, that does the same exact thing, exactly the same thing. We're taking the tap water, we're cleaning out the contaminants, and we're changing the structure of the water, and it's now become therapeutic, just like coming out of the ground. So we've done the same thing. This water has all 3. So what excuse me, what I've done is I'll test these waters and be able to check all 3 of these. And how do I test the water? The first thing I'll do is I have a meter. It's called an ORP meter. And what this meter does, it will check the antioxidants. So if these waters have antioxidant in it, or the first property you have to be therapeutic, it has to have a negative charge to it. Okay, if it has a positive charge, it's causing oxidation. And this is the chart. I really want to show it. I'll go over here for a second. Okay, it has to have this here. If it has a negative ORP, it's flushing out the inflammation of the body. If it has a positive ORP, it's causing inflammation. It's causing the body to be acidic. It's causing premature aging is what it's doing. Your cells at the cellular level are aging much faster because it's got a positive charge. There is no nutritional value at all. When it has a negative ORP, it's got a very strong, powerful antioxidant in it. And that's what's going to help to heal whatever diseases people have. Our ancestors drank, that's what they drank. And I'll bet you that New Mexico water has that too, because if people get diarrhea or a slight headache, because they're not used to it. They're not used to that clean water. And so I'll check these here, and if they have a negative ORP, that's the first property, and that's the most important one when somebody has a disease. And so what I'll do here is I'll put this wand in here, And this one here, this represents all sodas. Doesn't matter what sodas it is. So if this has a positive charge, it's causing premature aging. It's causing your body to have inflammation. And so you can see that it says how, if you read it, how much is that?
260.
Okay, there's no negative. It's over 300. That's a positive charge. This is causing oxidation of the body. This is causing premature aging, and this is proving right here that this has got toxic chemicals in it. All your bottled water, there's 8 or 9 countries now that have been testing bottled waters now for over 10 years, and they all came out at the same time at the scientific journals. 93% of all bottled water has microplastic particles. They proved it now. It's just coming on the news media. So, okay, Gatorade, which a lot of athletes are drinking, but the professionals aren't drinking this. They're not drinking this at all. You just think they're drinking this. But here, the coaches are giving that to the kids on the sports field. Oh, shoot. The coaches are giving that to the kids on the sports field, thinking that it's good for them. So, if I test this, and it's got a positive charge, then obviously it's not good for them. It's way up in the what? 400s. So that's causing the body to be acidic. That's causing the cells at the cellular level, and you have over 1 trillion of them, acidic. This is why kids are getting cramps. This is why kids are getting dehydrated. True electrolytes have a negative ORP. They say that Gatorade has electrolytes. This proves it right here. It does not. I went to the hospital. I overdosed on Gatorade, and I was put in the hospital, and they were worried that I was so dehydrated my heart was going to stop. And they thought I was drinking beer, and I wasn't. So, Aquafina, this is the water I drank, and this is the water I gave to my clients. It's in the 400s also. It's also causing the body to be acidic. Dasani. This is one of the most poisonous waters on the market. There's a chemical in here. They're using a chemical called potassium chloride. If you go on your phone, if you look up lethal injection and look at the chemicals they're using for lethal injection to kill people, that's one of the chemicals they're using. Same exact one. And I don't know how they're getting away with this. I don't think it's going to last long because more and more people are catching it. Okay? Now, like I said, if the water has a negative ORP, it's a very powerful antioxidant. It helps to neutralize the toxic chemicals you're consuming on a daily basis. So, this is the water we're drinking here. Is there a negative charge on that? Big time. Negative 780. This water has the most powerful antioxidant on the planet, and it will reverse premature aging. It actually helps. The antioxidant in this water, with every glass you drink, is so powerful, it's going to bombard the body with good antioxidant, and that's exactly what we want. Now, another thing is that people are going to the health food stores because they heard that alkaline water is good for them. So they're going to go to so they're not going to drink the tap water. They're not going to drink these bottled water because they know they're acidic and they know they're not good for them. And they know that every single one of these bottles has plastic particles in them now, and besides chemicals because of the plastic. So they're going to the health food store because they Googled where can I buy alkaline water, and the health food store said they say go to a health food store. They got tons and tons of different brands, like this one here. Okay, this is one of the most popular ones out there. So when we're doing a class at the medical center, somebody will bring this in and say, well, I'm drinking alkaline water. I said, well, good. I'm not. I'm drinking electrolyzed reduced water, which is different than this. So if this is supposed to be healthy, it's alkaline, then it should have a negative charge. And this is when I have to explain to people that not all alkaline waters are the same, and you have to be very careful on what you buy or what you spend your money on. So if this has got, if it's healthy, and they say it's got electrolytes in it and antioxidants, then it should have a negative charge, right? It doesn't. Got a positive charge, and it keeps going up and up and up. So the public is being duped. They're walking into these health food stores, spending $1.50 to $2 for a bottle, thinking it's alkaline, it's healthy, and it's not. It's just like you might as well just drink the bottle of water. Spend a buck or however much on the cheaper water, because it's the same thing. It's causing oxidation of the cells at the cellular level. Well, it's not going to work. Okay, so this is the only water that had the negative ORP. So we got the first property right here. Okay, and it's the most important part of therapeutic water because of the negative charge and the antioxidant. So the next thing we're going to do is check the alkalinity of the water, which means, and so like I said, I was a major super skeptic. I didn't even want to watch this. This, because of my background in science, this is what got me. And I think it got Marco too. But this made sense to me. The negative ORP, I was never taught that in school. I didn't know much about it, so it kind of went over my head. But this right here got me. Because I know that that's an international chart. That's a pH chart. That's a chart that they go by, everybody in the world will go by on testing waters to see if it's acidic or if it's alkaline. And if it's in the orange, if it's in this here, 100% of anybody who has cancer is that color. That's their cells. Every one of their trillion cells look like that. Okay? And cancer cannot live in an environment here. Period. Can't do it. No diseases can't. And that's been proven. That was a Nobel Prize winner by the name of Otto Warburg discovered that in the 1800s, and he won the prize for it. So I have some red drops here. These are drops like the pool guy uses to check the chemicals in the pool. What we're checking for is the oxygen and the antioxidants in the water, and to make sure it's got electrolytes in it, real good ones. So look at that chart, and then look at these waters here. When I test them, you want to see which one's acidic and which one is alkaline. That one, that one, that one, that one, and this is ours, and I'll do that one last. So as you can see here, if you look at the color of these waters, that these are acidic. I mean, it's obvious. Look at the colors. And this is the only one that's got a nice purple, pretty purple color. That's alkalinity. So if we have a disease, or if we have cancer, and we're trying to beat it, whatever disease it is, type 2, acid reflux, it doesn't matter, and we know that our body's acidic, because now the doctors are starting to tell people, you're acidic. You got to get out of that environment. Well, how are you going to get out of the environment if you're drinking this stuff? You can't. There's no way. It's impossible. You can't do it. And so, how are you going to get out of that environment? Well, obviously, you need to drink water that has an antioxidant, has a negative ORP or antioxidant in the alkalinity. If I were to take those drops and test that New Mexico water, I guarantee that water is that color. I'll bet you it is, especially coming out of the ground. It is. Well, now the question is okay, when we first discovered the water, I was 59, I think. So my question is, okay, I'm 59 years old. I've been drinking this water for years. My body's all my cells are acidic, so that's why I'm sick. And this doesn't, being sick doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. So it takes time to get real sick. Okay, so how do I get healthy? How do I get into that environment? How fast will this water help me get to that environment? Now remember, this water has got the most powerful antioxidant on the planet, more powerful than in vegetables and fruits. And it neutralizes the free radicals, which is what these are, the air you breathe, the chemicals on all the food you eat are considered free radicals. They're all free radicals. Well, you got to neutralize it on a daily basis. You have to be drinking something that's got a lot of antioxidants in it every day. You can't do it just every so often because your body, you're consuming free radicals all the time, Every time you breathe, every time you eat food. So you got to have a way to neutralize it. So how quickly will this help my body? Well, let's see how powerful this antioxidant is. Boom. I just neutralized the free radicals in that water. I just turned that water into a negative ORP. Same thing with this one here. Same thing. So that's how quickly, if you start drinking this water, water's going to start neutralizing the free radicals or the acidity in your cells. Now, I was a Diet Coke drinker, and they kept telling me when I saw this, if I'm going to try the water, I can't have Diet Coke, I can't have Gatorade, I can't have Monsters, I can't have sports drink, I can't have, what other ones? Carbonated mineral waters, I can't have any of that. Well, why? I mean, if this water is so powerful, then why can't I drink the sodas or the Gatorades along with it? If it's that powerful, I saw what it did to the bottled water. And so the guy said, well, I'll show you why. That shows how poisonous this sodas are. The most powerful water on the universe cannot fix it. So if I'm drinking this water and I'm drinking this, I'm wasting my time. Not doing nothing. Same thing with Gatorade. I can't fix it at all. Same thing with Monster drink, all of them. And that's why we tell people, if you're going to sample the water for 2 weeks, cut out all the sodas, cut out the Gatorade, cut out the sports drink, because it's not going to do any good. And if you're not going to do that, don't bother. It's just not going to work. And if you've got some kind of disease like type 2 diabetes is right now rampant. And so we're getting calls all the time on that, all the time. Borderline type 2. And people are going on metformin, which has got side effects of kidneys failure. They're going on insulin. Last week we did a couple that had that. And so you got to get out of that environment. Now for myself, and Erica, I'm going to use her as an example too, because her cancer is progressively getting less and less, which means that her body is getting more and more into this color here. Because like I said, cancers or diseases cannot survive in this, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But if I'm right now post-cancer, okay, my body, my trillion cells are in a alkaline environment, somewhere between probably 7.45 and 8.0, somewhere in that range. There's research says around to put cancer in a dormant state, your cells got to be around an 8.0. That's what it should be. And so the water we're drinking is at 9.5 alkalinity. So that just shows how much we're bombarding our body. But I've been, like I said, I'm post-cancer. My prostates are better. I mean, I'm normal now. My blood pressure is normal. All that stuff. So I'm in a healthy environment. And then I decide I miss doing my Diet Coke. And I've been drinking this water for 7 years. And I decide, well, how can one little sip bother me? It shouldn't bother me. I'm fine. I'm healthy. So I decide that I want to have a sip of Diet Coke. Now, to be honest, my main concern right now, because we've worked with so many people that had cancer, that my main concern right now is I don't want to ever get cancer a second time. Because I know for a fact that if somebody gets, after they've controlled cancer the first time, and you're going to hear me say control and dormant cancer. because the oncologists are lying to people, and they know they're lying to people because they know for a fact cancer never goes away, dormant. So why do people get cancer a second time? Because they go back to their old lifestyle of how they eat and what they're drinking. That's why. My biggest thing is I don't want to do that ever again. I know what happens when you get cancer a second time, and I know how hard it is to try to fight it. And I don't want to go to that point. So, but 7 years, I've been doing good. I'm going to drink a Coke. And my body's been in this environment. That's how quickly I destroy my cells, that fast. Sugar. Sugar. What's the #1 feeder for cancer? Sugar. I just dump a bunch of sugar back into my cancer cells again, back into my cells, and guess what? I'm waking up my cancer cells. Gatorade. Same thing. Same exact thing. This is why we try to explain to people. You can't go back to your old lifestyle. You can't afford it. If you do, that's what's going to happen to you. And that's how bad poison. That's why we want kids to see how bad this stuff is, and the parents to understand that this is pure poison, and all you're doing is you're slowly poisoning your kids. And like I said, diseases don't happen overnight. Now, the problem we're having is we've worked with kids that are, the young kids are getting type 2 diabetes at a young age. We've worked with kids that had acid reflux at, how old was that one?
9.
9 years old. A 9-year-old child with acid reflux and taking powerful adult medication to treat it, and then her body, this is someone we treated in Corona, and then the poor little girl body had a reaction to the medication, and they had to take her off the medication, and the acid reflux came back, and now she had to deal with that. So nothing was working. They gave us a call, and we went over and did the exact same thing here, because I have to explain to them, you got to change your water first. First thing you got to do. Your body is 75% water. You got to detox. You got to flush all that crap out. And then let's work on the food part of it to get that acid reflux gone. Well, within 3 or 4 or 5 days of changing her water, I already knew what was going to happen with her acid reflux, but I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell the parents. I'm going to just say, let's just change the water first. I already know what's going to happen. We've been doing this for way too long. The acid reflux was dissipating. Finally, now after 3 years, she's fine. She's fine. Okay, so we've got the other property of the water, which is the alkalinity. Now, this one here, like I said, we're already missing the antioxidant in it. Now, when I put these drops in it, look what happened. That's what I'm saying. Not all alkaline water is the same. See, it's the same color. It's healthy. This is where people are getting duped. But we're missing the most important property of the water that's therapeutic, and that's the antioxidant. It didn't have it. So why is that color? It's because to get it to that color, they're putting man-made minerals in it that were made at a lab, and that are chemicals that can cause issues in the body, and that's how they got the color. Is because it's man-made chemicals causing it. It's not electrically induced. There's a big difference. We're drinking nature's water, which is electrically induced, like nature. They're putting man-made chemicals that were made in a lab to make the pH come up like that, and this doesn't work. It won't work. Matter of fact, anybody that has kidney issues, heart issues, or high blood pressure and is drinking mineral water like this, got to get off of it. Got to get off. Because what's going to happen is going to make it worse. It doesn't, and I can tell them, and they'll look at me like, oh yeah, right. Okay. How's it working so far? Do you have kidney stones still? Yeah, we have some lady over in Lake Elsinore who works at a golf club or a
Country club.
country club. Kidney stone, major. That's the water she's been drinking, but they couldn't figure out, well, we're giving you the medication, but you're still getting kidney stones. After she saw this, she went off the water, started drinking this, and we talked to her a couple days ago. It's been 2.5, 3 weeks, no kidney issues at all, period, okay? So that's the alkalinity. So we've got two of the properties here, the antioxidant, negative ORP, and the high alkalinity. Well, now let's talk about the structure of the water. This is there's, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, that out of all three of these properties this water has, the number one most important one is the antioxidant, the negative ORP. The science name for the antioxidant, if somebody wants to Google it, is molecular hydrogen H2. And that's the science name. Well, people says, well, that sounds like it's been around a while. I said, it has. It's been around for centuries. But the medical professionals don't want you to know that, because they'll lose money if you figure it out, like we have. So the third property is the structure of the water. And the reason why I show, this is your cell. You've got 1 trillion plus of these in your body. This is bottled water, tap water. This is Gatorade. This is Pepsi. These are, the molecules are in huge clusters like this. And like I was saying, structure is the second most important part of this water because it has to get in the cell. In the cell, in 2016, a researcher won a Nobel Prize and discovered that all the cells have little water channels. That's how new all this is. That's why people will ask the question, well, how come we don't know this? It's because science is just now figuring all this out. And that's why I wasn't taught this in school, because they didn't know. So this researcher in 2016 discovered that all the cells have these little water channels. And that these why people who drink Gatorade or this, if you could be drinking a whole bunch of this on a hot day and you don't get hot, you're still thirsty over and over. Because it's not getting into the cell. You're only getting 17% of what you're drinking. The rest is going out urine-wise, okay? So the structure, there has to be structure to it. Our ancestors drank this water coming out of the ground. The water in New Mexico most likely has structure to it, and that's why when people drink it, they get hydrated, because it's got a structure and it goes through the cell in a single file. Has to go through a single file. That's too big. Won't fit. In the electricity, and that's why this water has to go through electricity, because the electricity changes the structure of these molecules, separates them to make them smaller. And that's why they call it the smallest molecule in existence. So how do we, let's see here, okay, now, how do I test for the structure of the water to get a visual how it all works? Well, I don't know if you guys make tea or not, but how do we make tea? Hot water, right? That's how we make